So quick introduction, my name is Louise Campbell, and on behalf of the Woolmark company, I am delighted to welcome on screen Sheila Mary Carruthers, who will be our host for today's panel session. So Sheila Mary, I will pass over to you. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Hello virtual visitors, those that are currently joining us and those that are watching the recording. As Louise said, my name is Sheila Mary Carruthers and I have been working in this marvellous industry for quite a few years. Today, it's my pleasure on behalf of the Woolmark company to host this webinar. Now, we're very happy to take questions, so please make use of the chat and the Q&A function at any point, and we'll try and answer them, if they're relevant to any particular points we're making. Some of you have already submitted questions when you registered. Thank you. And there's some of them very complex. The Woolmark company will respond directly within the next few days, and hopefully some will actually be answered once you've heard this presentation. Perhaps, as some of you will know, the Woolmark company offer a wide-ranging support in all areas where merino wool is an asset. Now, apart from lots of very good downloadable fact sheets on lots of topics, they've also now included on the woolmarklearningcentre.com free to use textile technology and textile design courses. And this is on their online learning platform. The details of all this will come up at the end, so don't worry. And Louise will at some point post these into the chat function. Now, there's going to be a new sustainability course added in September, together with weave design. This will complement the existing knitwear design and make course. They're great courses, they're tertiary level, they give you sort of qualification at the end of it, and they're free. So don't ignore them just because they're free. As I've said, all the contact details will be shown, but if you've got a sort of general question that we don't answer, there's an email address, which again we'll show later, but it's trade-extension@wool.com, trade-extension@wool.com. As those of you with experience will know, wool is an amazing natural fibre. Sheep grazing on grass, watered by the rain and the sun, grow this renewable fibre, which offers through, if you've ever looked at wool cross-section, it's extraordinary. We could not hope to replicate that in a synthetic situation. And that's what gives us the enhanced characteristics which benefit performance wear. For me, for sure, disposable and things like microplastics in water systems are huge issues. But as you know, one of wool's key qualities is the fact that it's compostable. It goes back into the soil and adds nutrients. Now, every fibre that is compostable is also biodegradable, but the other way around is not the case. So wool has got tremendous benefits. So of course, it doesn't actually get into the ocean because it degrades before it gets there. So by choosing wool, you've got a completely circular product. On woolmark.com, there's lots of more information on how to design for circularity, all about circularity, wool and its benefits next to the skin, how it helps eczema, etc. Moisture absorption, absolutely vital in this active performance wear that we're going to talk about. So it should help many of you to answer the questions that you submitted. But much better, let my guests tell you why wool is their go-to fibre for all the products. We have two guests, Studio Eva and Carola, who are based in Europe, although Eva is actually in China at the moment, and she works on Santoni seamless circular machines, amongst others, and they create really pioneering, design-led, very technical wool activewear. And from the Sudvola group, we have Stefan Schoffel. Stefan is area sales manager based in Sudvola in Germany. Now, for those of you that don't know this group, it's massive. They cover all end uses, a really wide range of really, really interesting yarns. And a lot of them using wool for multiple end uses. Worth a look. Again, website comes up at the end. In these unusual times, we believe it's more important than ever to develop products that have distinctive and lasting value. Lasting is a great quality. We're beginning to realize that this is going to help all our efforts in planet well-being. These are our responsibilities, and longevity is one of the key assets, and Merino has that asset. We believe in industry collaborations at the Woolmark company because it's an effective way of ensuring products with added benefits, such as longevity in particular, and circularity are available for today's consumer. So this initiative with Sudvola and Studio Eva and Carola is a range of garments for the cycling market. When you think of sportswear today, functionality has to go hand in glove with comfort, absolutely paramount. And consumers are beginning to expect multiple assets. And we need to, all of us need to clearly communicate that and explain it to make sure they understand what they're buying and what the benefits are, particularly in activewear. And Eva, you've developed garments specifically for, in this instance, the sportswear cycling market. As I've said, it's an industry collaboration with Santoni seamless machinery, but you've chosen to work in merino wool. Perhaps, please, can you kindly tell us why you thought that this fibre would bring positive attributes?
Thank you so much, Sheila Mary, and thank you for introduction. Yeah, great question. Yeah, we believe everything should be considered smart and functional. So what we use and wear should be helping and enhancing the people's body and experience. So we select fibers based on the end use and on the consumer needs. And for us, merino wool is really the go-to yarn. I mean, of its functional, of its biodegradable, sustainable, and aesthetic benefits. So for us, by combining the properties of wool merino, for example, thermal regulation, gentle next to the skin, natural elastic, fantastic for movement, and also obviously the strengths of seamless and circular knitting of Santoni, like engineering, reduction of waste, eliminating seams. Yeah, for us, it really combines two worlds together and results in a cycling outfit that is really advanced from a functional, comfortable, and aesthetic point of view. So suitable for today's markets and consumer types, I would say.
There'll be a lot of people who are perhaps not familiar with the seamless Santoni machine. It's relatively new into the market. What kind of benefits, I mean, apart from the sort of general thing, how you're a design-led person, so how do you maximize, what benefits can you really see coming on these machines to offer maximum performance?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, besides working from the yarn up, we also really find Santoni's technology suitable for working from a machine up approach. I come back to that a bit, I think, later during some of the questions, but what we find is that working from a machine up approach, we're really able to develop garments and materials that are suitable for the end use. And by selecting the right machine type, we can really work with settings and stitches and create, suitable, sustainable products. And for us, Santoni circular and seamless engineering and machinery technology gives that possibility to really kind of place and develop engineering, zoned engineering on the body, on the tube. So rather than developing a material, you develop a product. And that it gives great benefits because it really can help you to emphasize the functional needs, the sustainable needs on a stitch by stitch level, really creating that added value I think today's consumer is looking for, and obviously not forgetting the beautiful aesthetic it can create. But I think one of the key aspects, absolutely, in any technology is the partnership and the collaborations. So for us, it's more than the machinery technology. It's also the partnership that we do and work towards together in for example, this collaboration between innovative companies like Woolmark, Wolle, Santoni. And this is also what our Material Experience Center, powered by Santoni, is doing. That's kind of bridging between experts in the fields, between developing and learning and knowledge creation by each other to come to new products and new ideas and find new solutions that are so needed in today's situation.
That's absolutely great for the consumer, provided the brand or whoever is actually selling it, make sure they communicate it, because I think that's one of the issues, isn't it? That people don't quite understand the benefits they're getting. And they're saying, well, why should I buy this? But obviously, seamless knitting through Santoni that has been developed. I mean, Stefan, you worked for quite some time with Wolle, and they have been, over the past 10 years, really understanding that active wear of these machines really important. Now, what Eva, maybe I should have well, we can come back to it, but this is not coarse gauge knitwear. This is fine, refined knitting. It's not really knitwear, it's seamless. Your company has been at the forefront of developing yarns for this sector. Now, it's a lot of work to develop fine counts in wool with the appropriate benefits. What are some of the critical issues that you've overcome in this pioneering approach to it all?
Yes, thank you, first of all, Sheila Mary, for the invitation to this event and also for organizing, obviously, everything. It's a pleasure to be here, and we certainly appreciate to get a chance to be part of this today. Just maybe one sentence. I just got vaccinated this morning. I guess that's good news.
Yes, but, very good news.
In case I should talk complete nonsense, yeah, like saying stupid things like acrylic is the best fiber or something like that, please just mute me and blame these Johnson & Johnson people over there for it.
No, it'll enhance your brain. Don't worry. It'll make you better. Much, much, much better.
So far, I'm quite optimistic. Yes, thank you. Yes, what you said is right. I mean, when you start something new or when you come with a product that is already used in other areas and then you try to bring it to a new application, like in the seamless, there are some challenges in the beginning. One was certainly the logistics part. Yeah, the wool yarn we need for the seamless is always in S and Z torsion from the spinning side. That's very technical. But of course, we had to make sure that we always have S and Z for a yarn, which we normally only need in a set, for example. So that was a logistical thing to really come up with the right stock program also for the product line. And then the second thing is what Eva said. There was a lot of collaboration needed. Yeah, we had to talk directly to the knitters to understand what the need for this, very, very thin wool yarn. I don't know if you can see it here. It's very, very thin. Yeah, the moisture has to be right in the production. The moisture of the yarn has to be right. We had to discuss about easy things like the machine speed, because it's obviously completely different when you talk about a wool yarn compared to, let's say, a nylon yarn or a continuous filament. So these were the things we had to openly discuss and improve step by step together with the brands and the knitters.
I've not worked on Santoni, but I've worked a lot with fine merino in fine counts on knitwear machinery. And that's no easy feat. I think Stefan Wolle deserve a lot of credit for pushing the boundaries on this to make sure this is a yarn that really brings all the wool benefits, and at the same time, it's at the weight that the consumer wants and needs. I'm not an active person, I have to tell you, but I can imagine that you need lots and lots of benefits and the combination between the way Eva works and the way that you've spun this yarn is really, really very, very critical. Eva, you've obviously been able to exploit this on the Santoni machines. How did you go about that? How did you decide? How did you body map? For instance, you talked about body mapping. How did you do that to say this bit needs to be closed, this bit needs to be open, this bit needs, you know, 2 ends of yarn, this needs 1, etc., etc. Trial and error, presumably, and lots of work.
Yeah, great question too. I think, first to come back a bit on what Stefan mentioned and you mentioned as well, I think for us, it's so much fun to work on that technology that is so, you know, about fine gauge. And, you know, to work with the yarns of Sudwool is like, you know, it's like a dream of, I think, any creative person and any designer. And it gives such a great potential to mixture these both. And I think that also is for us the interest in the technology of the circular and the seamless technology of Santoni, and aligns also very much with wool merino. It feels like you kind of have a very human approach to building a product. It's like almost like growing kind of garments and tubes that you're out of like a tube form out of the machine. And it feels like a more natural approach because you kind of work something that is an all-in-one product versus a kind of dismantled way of cut and sew and matching. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, that combination of that possibility as well, obviously the fineness and the comfort level that it gives, combined with, you know, wool merino files that you really want to get against the skin. I mean, it's a perfect combination. And going back on this body mapping techniques, for us it's as a person, whether you go to the gym or not, I think you want garments that are comfortable, that you feel good at, you know, that enhance yourself, your experience without being actively showcasing this. So with that kind of true body mapping technique, we really non-intrusively engineer in that particular needs a consumer is needing, whether it's functional, aesthetic, sustainable, obviously, or a combination of. And I think that's the power of it, that you really design, you know, your own materials in a way, and you really work, you know, between a combination of yarn, fiber yarn, machine technology, and concept. And for me, that kind of seamless circular approach with merino wool and all the benefits is like a performance 2.0, I have to say. And later for sure you will bring it up, but I think some of the latest capsule collections that we did together, the cycling being one of them, the compression that we were able to reach on natural kind of yarn products, I think that give a really good example of the possibilities and the immense opportunities there are.
Yeah, I mean, I think not many people realize that wool actually stretches and recovers. It has a natural crimp, so it has this opportunity to give in a well-constructed garment. And I like the description that you're giving. It's almost like this is an organic garment that's growing, and that's great because this is a natural fiber, beautifully and considerately spun by Sudwool, and almost like you're growing it up the body. That's a lovely thing to describe. And I can see that that is why it's going to be very, very positively and optimistically functional. You know, it's obviously a new-ish sector for many people. Stefan, when did you realize at Sudwool that this was growing, this whole, in this instance, the collaboration is about cycle wear, but that could be extended, the whole Santoni circular seamless machinery offers you, it's a whole new area, really. You've been working on this for some time at Sudwool?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, it was a learning by doing process, obviously, also. Yeah. And of course, you have the feeling that oh, there is a market. There are more and more people in the outdoors, not only the cycling market. Yeah, it's a combination of markets where it's interesting for. And so we were pretty optimistic right from the beginning, yeah, that this can be a beautiful market for us all together. And then especially with the knowledge of the Santoni people, with the creativeness of people like Eva and Carola, yeah, that bring new ideas to the table almost every week. Yeah? And so there was a lot to discuss right from the beginning. And that was obviously a good situation to be very optimistic and to invest some time and ideas into this new market.
Because you're known, Sudvala have for many years offered performance in the widest possible way yarns. You know, that is really one of your strengths. I mean, you're really you've always been as a company. I mean, I've been in the business so long, and over the years I've used Sudvala a lot because they've got added benefit yarns. And I think that, I'm sure you both agree, is the way forward. We've got to just stop doing everything at that level and raise our game and say to the consumer, this is why you need this is why you need this garment. This is why you should buy this garment. Need is maybe the wrong word, because we don't need any more clothes, but this is why this garment is worth investing in. And I'm sure that Eva, you are very, you're spending a lot of time with seamless machines and merino wool. There's other product categories you've been involved. Which ones have you been most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, how long do we have, Sheila Mary?
No, also, while you're about to answer that, we've got a question from Eric around this. Is it single jersey machinery, or is it double knit Santoni seamless, or both? The second question is to you, Stefan. You can think about this. What yarn counts are we talking about? Just general answers, please. But Eva, you carry on. Sorry, maybe you can give us a bit more focused detail there.
No, great question as well. I will incorporate it in. Yeah, we are quite excited about a numerous amount of experiences. I think first of all, it's good to mention that these experiences and these collaborations that we work on are, they're going beyond showcasing, a capsule collection. We really study this together, from the yarn up, from the machine technology up. We extensively work on testing. We really speak with a lot of experts in the field in order to make sure that what we deliver is not a beautiful picture. It's something that is of use. It's something that we have been building knowledge on. So I think that's, first of all, definitely one of the excitements that I want to share, because I think that's, it's more than just a marketing material. There's really truly knowledge and research behind it. The projects that we work on together, answering the question, actually are both on the single jersey as well as on the double jersey machineries. The recent collections that maybe you have seen are partly the yoga collection was very much focused on the single jersey collection, and actually ranged different kind of gauges. So we experimented with the more finer gauges, 40 gauge, 32 gauge, as well a more standard gauge in the market, 28, and even coarser gauges, which also are more newer machines, 22 gauge. As well, in the cycling, we have a mixture between both. So we have a super excited chamois padded garment that is actually combining single jersey and double jersey, but also a lot of options and possibilities on the single jersey machinery and technology of Santoni. Yeah, coming back, I had a couple of examples, but let me start first one. I think the yoga collection, and what was really excited about that is that we felt that very often wool merino product in the market was very plain in approach, very much plain knits, and we wanted to showcase that you can, for example, really engineer stretch into natural yarns. And really play by stitching, or by the right stitches, a ribbing, for example. really kind of, engineer that specific need and function inside. So that gives then the possibility of 3D knit structures in merino wool, and really at the same time keeping that softness, keeping that second skin effect that obviously everybody wants, no matter if you go to yoga or you wear something in in real life. And the second really example I want to bring up is the cycling collection, because I think that also shows that you can go through performance, where we really managed to get a compression level, different amounts of compression level out of one machinery into a beautiful collection, and we combined this together with ensuring that the structures were having the right loft. They were having the like density, support wherever needed. So it really resulted in a garment that was utilizing, some of the best. I think. I mean, I love the entire range of Sudwolle, but I mean, some amazing yarns. And at the same time, really, gave something extra to the wearer, to the cycler.
Well, before I come to you, Stefan, we've actually had a question that you've just answered. I think Peter's question was all about garments for other indoor sports, such as badminton. Or would such garments be too heavy and too warm? And I think we can safely say that the range you created for the yoga and for the cycling, because of the counts that Sudwolle have managed to create, are perfect for these end uses. And I think, well, Eva, am I right in saying we could use all sorts of end uses? It could be for badminton. It's in the ability of the creator, and because Sudwolle have done the technology, we've got the yarns. So it's then, what are the parameters that badminton players need?
What we absolutely, I think the wool merino fiber is so versatile, as well the seamless technology, that I think the possibilities are like immense. I think what the one thing I think, whether or not something is a success, is that it needs a synergy. You need to listen to the yarn and the machinery and build almost from that yarn and the machinery upwards. And we call this a reversed design process approach. So rather than sticking to your design and try to fiddle the machine type and the yarn type in, we really learn to build it bottom up. And I think that really generates success. And obviously then you can tailor every application towards the exact needs of that consumer.
I totally agree. And that requires somebody who has got creative conceptual thinking, design abilities, and understanding of both yarn and machinery. And I think in what you also said, we had a question here from Prabir saying, is this 100% merino or is it spandex blended in with it? Now, you answered it by saying it's about construction. It's about ribs and compression. One could add in spandex if one so desired, especially the stuff that is going to be on stream and biodegradable, because I think that's very important. But so it's about understanding structure. And I don't believe there's enough people with those skills around, and the lovely dialogue you and Sudwolle have got. So Stefan, to come back to the count situation, perhaps, you might want to answer that in a broader way. I don't know, it's up to you. I don't know what count you're using, but it's very fine yarn, obviously, and extremely expertly spun. It takes quite a lot to be able to create yarn of that character in those fine counts. That would be fair to say, would it not?
Yes, absolutely, Sheila, Mary, and Eva. Thank you so much for all the nice feedback about our yarns. I think there's ever a chance.
It's true. I don't work for Sudwolle. It's true. You do it.
No, thank you so much. It's nice to hear such a good feedback also. But it's, of course, as Eva said, also the talent of the people that are using our yarn, and down all the way to the let's say to the consumer who is knowledgeable enough to use the nice fabric and garment in the end in the right way and make the best of it. So it's really a collaborate approach. To answer the question, we start generally for the seamless section at an NM80 single. and then go up all the way to 100 and even 120 singles. So really, really fine yarns, using very fine merino, also like starting at 15 microns even, and then going also a little bit coarser, like 16.5, 17 microns. So it gives us a very good opportunity by using such fine yarns to also use the very fine and soft merino types for these kind of
so many people
product.
won't realize what a skill that is to spin a singles yarn in those counts with that micron. I mean, that's a problem. We don't appreciate how fab that is. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
It's a long learning curve, I would say. Yeah, it's really something which we are also proud of, that we found ways to spin such fine yarns and also produce it. What is also obviously challenging, to produce it at the same high quality level all the time. Yeah? Wool, being a natural product, is changing a little bit from season to season, from lot to lot. So it's never a finished process. We have to adjust almost every time and make sure that we again and again and again can reach the quality that the market is requesting from us.
Yeah.
So
obviously Sridhar is asking about plating on Santoni seamless. Now, I don't know if you can plate, but the point being, Sudvala yarns that are so fine will allow one to plate, because obviously you've got to have tremendously fine counts. And equally, there's another question here about a wearer and a processor of wool. He's worried about the average temperatures of 35 plus. I wish we had 35 plus in Scotland. Anyway, that's by the by. The fact of the matter is that if you look on the woolmark.com, you'll find information about wool's ability to absorb moisture. And that is one of its tremendous assets, because it, next to the skin, if you've got a filament yarn next to the skin, there's nowhere for that moisture to go except spread across the fabric. Whereas with wool can take in that moisture and then release it on washing. And it's tremendously important that that's one of its great strengths. So that's 35 is quite warm, but you know, realistically, if I was that sort of person, I know that I'd be wearing the natural fiber wool rather than a filament yarn, because all that's doing is spreading the moisture and hoping it evaporates quickly. Whereas wool actually has this technical ability. Look on the woolmark.com website and look at the cross section of wool, and you'll understand how the sheep managed to design this thing to absorb moisture and store it, and all sorts of aspects like that. So I hope that answers that. Somebody's asking for pictures. Again, they're on woolmark.com. So please have a look there. And while we're, just to go back, Stefan, is it single or double yarn? It's singles yarns, Prabir. Single hundreds. Really fun. Yeah, singles yarns. So, and yes, I assume, Eva, he wants to know also if the double yarn can be used on Santoni, and the answer I assume is yes. It's just a question of count and relation to gauge, etc. So
yeah, correct. No, that's absolutely possible. I mean, in the seamless we often use the single yarns, but in double jerseys we do double count, absolutely. So there's no problem for that too.
Good.
What is the need, and Stefan, maybe you have some add-ons there, but it depends a bit where you want to go to, what you want to develop.
Yes, just to add here, just a little side note, what we can do is what we call a beta spun yarn. It's actually using a continuous filament together with the wool fiber, which is then reducing, let's say, or giving a little bit more strength to the yarn and helping also against some issues like abrasion in the fabric. So this is something we have already established in the program and can deliver also from stock.
So that's interesting, because Simon is asking about textile sensors, electrically conductive yarns. Therefore, Stefan, you know, Sudvala are way out there, but could that core be, in theory, an electrically conductive yarn, which, you know, can you imagine with wool benefits and that, and Santoni machinery, you know, the opportunity would be fantastic. I don't know whether this is an area that you're developing or things like that in the beta spun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is going into this, let's say, smart textiles direction also. It is something we are looking at. The answer is not so easy. It's not a black or white, not a yes or no. It's really, we have to discuss. We have to really look at the single parameters and also what is the goal in the end. And then there are ways to do it, but it's nothing we can deliver like from stock. Really, in this case is we're really coming back to what we discussed earlier on. There needs to be a very close cooperation from day one with all the partners, including also of the knitting machine people, that we can find ways then later on also to process the yarn on the machines. Yeah.
So you know, maybe this is, sorry. So moving, you know, and therefore this is really kind of moving forward. These are the sort of things that if your foresight gives you the ability to say there's going to be a demand for this, you will be happy perhaps to consider collaborating in the way that you've done with Eva and Carola and Santoni and the Woolmark. Because that to me is the integrated, there's no point in just developing things in a vacuum. We've got to do things to a purpose. As Eva said, this is not something you just do a drawing and then send it off. This is about growing something effectively together. So might this be an area of future collaborations? Stefan, I think that's really comes to Sudvolle.
Absolutely, and I mean we love to be involved early, from the yarn side, from the fiber side also, and so that's the way to do it. Have a maybe crazy idea at the beginning, say, hey, this is something where we can see a market for, or it's interesting in a certain way, and then let's spin it for a while, and circle around the idea and develop ideas how to make it a final product, and go like that. Absolutely, yeah. Yes.
So we've got lots of opportunities for the future. We're having a question here about the percentage stretch and recovery. And I don't think we can answer that directly if we don't, you know, without using the spandex. I don't have those figures. So I'm suggesting that the question directly is directed to the trade-extension.wool.com, because they maybe have more technical answers about the stretch and recovery element of wool 100%, because it does exist. They've done a lot of factual investigations into what wool can offer. It doesn't, I know that spandex yarn does 600% with 600% recovery. Sheep can't quite manage that, but they're a pretty jolly good alternative. Moving on, what else? We've talked, Stefan, this is really a question to you both. Do you see other areas emerging? I mean, this whole thing, who would have thought that 10, 15 years ago, the full seamless opportunity, complete garments wasn't really there. It's relatively new. I don't think people really appreciate, if you have the longevity that I have in this industry, this is a new opportunity for people. And I believe that we're only just starting to exploit it. Where is our way forward with wool on this? What is this about? Just simply saying, well, this can apply to the badminton as in the question, or the yoga, or is there something coming up that you think this is an area we could look at? I mean, somebody's asking about swimwear, for instance. And now this is a woman who had a merino wool swimming costume made from her mother's sweater in the 1950s. I can assure you, because it was just a cut and sew piece of stuff, it was very embarrassing when you came out of the water. So this needs to be on a Santoni machine. Technically, in theory, yes, but it needs some consideration. And people make board shorts. You know, in Australia, there's a company that make woven, not knitted, woven garments for all the boarding, all the surfing, because of the UV advantage of merino wool, because it's got a high UV protection. So a lot of those garments are already in work. Knitted off knitwear machines? No, it has to be you even to do swimwear. But so back to the question, is this areas for you, future areas? Looking to your crystal ball a little bit here.
Should I start here, Eva?
Yes,
or?
yeah. You go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are all wool or positive towards wool, yeah, and we see that more and more consumers are positive towards wool, and they understand the benefits of wool, and people understand that they look great when they are wearing a nice wool shirt. Yeah, I mean, imagine, yeah, on a weekend you go on your little bike tour with an whatever, be it an old bike or very new bike, then put on your nice wool shirt. It's a good fit. Yeah, it looks nice. The benefits are clear. The benefits are understandable from a performance point, but of course also from the sustainable side of the story. It's biodegradable. It's recyclable. All these hot topics are covered in a way. So then why shouldn't it work for other markets if it's working well for cycling markets? So absolutely, it's we need to develop the ideas together and look at the single markets and then come up with nice products that our customers like. And you mentioned a few of the markets, like indoors, like a badminton application, or even other outdoor applications, of course, sports activities. There are, I think, almost unlimited ideas that we can come up with in the future with wool and seamless knitting.
What, Eva, just before you answer, one of the questions here is about performance claims. Now, I don't think we've approached this project, the Woolmark have approached this from performance claims, because that's quite a wide topic for a start. And obviously the Woolmark performance claims, we know that we're working with a premier spinner and we're working with premier machinery and premier designers. At the end of the day, we can make claims for the fibre, but I don't think I'm right in saying you would make absolute, well, it enhances your performance by 150%, because a lot of that's subjective anyway. So I don't think that you can actually say, you know, that's the answer. But so thinking future wise, how it's not really your function, is it, to take account of the increase in true performance standards when you do this? But there will be benefits, I would imagine.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in most of the projects, we definitely you know, consider you have a very clear consumer profile with very clear consumer kind of needs and requirements and performance aspects, and that's definitely always the starting base that we work approach. Yeah, to answer, and apologies, I for some reason I was out of the webinar for a second, so I might double up what Stefan already mentioned, but I think the future possibilities are quite immense, and obviously yes, the applications, but absolutely I think also from the perspective that as an industry, I think we have an issue. Everything around sustainability, and we have an opportunity, obviously the whole digital kind of approach and side. And I think for that, I think let's start with the more considered and circular economy and sustainable direction. I think yes, like-minded, I think companies like Woolmark, Santoni, Zuidwollen, and in the studio, we find merino wool as, you know, as the fiber to just go after. I mean, the way how it can give, a more sustainable benefit, and how it can give, a biodegradable product. I think that's definitely a direction that is not, something completely future new, but I think it will be even more. It's like, it's a must already now, but I think it will be even further and more. I think more knowledge will be, available, and that's also leading into my second part, where I feel the future is heading to, and we also tremendously invest in, with Santoni, Materials Experience Center Studio, is to really build, products that are more informed, and we can also share much more informed decision making. So we really can tell in advance, hey, this stitch is going to give you this and this benefit and feature. Hey, this combination of yarn, this is what we experience, and this is a best practice we would recommend for you. So rather than piloting and redoing and re-evaluating things by ourselves as an industry, as a supply chain, I think we can really develop tools, and we're working very hard on that. And we have a launch coming up later in the year to be able to give that informed decision making that is so hardly needed by many people. And obviously, we're not going to give the answer, like you said really well, Sheila Mary. It's very hard, but I think if we do this collaboratively and together, I think we're going to make absolutely some steps.
I couldn't agree more. I do believe that we've got to start sharing more information between all of us, because there's no point in anybody working in this silo mentality. When we've got the knowledge within us, this is the only way we're going to rescue the world from the issues that textiles industry and the fashion industry damages, the planet. And of course, one of the things I think is really important, and I know we've had a talk about it before, Eva, and the same with you, Stefan, and that is monofiber situations, because then we get circularity. The issue comes when people have expectations that we need this and we need that and all the rest of it. So the outcome is you produce an everything sort of yarn, and then when you come for disposal and circularity, it's impossible, because you've got components that don't behave well environmentally. And I think that, the more therefore you use what you've just talked about, the stitch structure and the benefits that that structure brings there and that structure brings there, with monofiber yarns, we can help to redress the situation where we've got, landfill, bleh, trauma. So I think that's very, very important, this sharing situation that you're developing. And so, that's great to hear. We, carrying on from that, the environmental situation, whatever it is, we all need, all of us, and even as not just professionals, but as consumers, need to make a contribution. Stefan, what would you say are the key things that drive your company towards wool environmentally? What sort of assets can it bring there that would, help if we all made a tiny contribution, the outcome? I mean, there's a question, somebody's asking about other staple fibers on Santoni. Well, yes, of course you can. I'm not going to talk about them. This is a Woolmark presentation. And yes, they can be used in combination, of course. Cotton works, of course it does. But you'd be surprised how many of cotton's assets wool has when you really look into it, except it's not quite so thirsty in its growth. So, Stefan, what would you say, what drives you towards environmentally towards, or to rescue the planet towards wool?
Yeah, I think everybody has his own individual reasons also, or his own or her own individual approach. Yeah? But of course, as a company, we understand we have to have one as well. And coming from such a natural product that is really coming from a living animal, from a farm, I mean, that's where the story already starts. We have to be sustainable. We have to take care of those animals, of those farmers, of the land management. to make sure that also the generation that comes after us will still be able to benefit from this fantastic fiber, right? And I agree with you also, Sheila Mary, on what you said earlier on. Is wool is already a great fiber, yeah. So this is also something we discuss very often with our customers when they come up with ideas to blend it with man-made fibers, and then you ask about, okay, why do you want this? And then very often you hear, we want it because it's moisture control, or it's odor management, and you have it already. Yeah, look, we have this wonderful 100% wool NM80 single yarn. It's super soft. It's recyclable. It's biodegradable even. Yeah, it won't pollute. There won't go any microfiber pollution that goes into your water. It's there already. Yeah, you don't actually need to blend it with any other fibers. And that's the approach we're trying to take. And again, we're coming back to the motto of the show, so to say. It is a collaboration. We tell the story, you tell the story. If I'm Carola, you tell the story to your final consumers about all those benefits, and then all together, it's an educational approach to make more people aware of this beautiful fiber.
Yeah, because I don't think people understand that wool absorbs odors. You know, it is its own odor control. You know, if you're wearing wool next to the skin, and when you're in active situations, wool absorbs it, and then it's released on washing. Eva, before you answer, you can prove it. You wear it, right?
I can prove what you're saying. Even when you come back from a longer bike tour wearing a nice merino shirt, it's not as bad as when you have a polyester one.
Correct.
It's Eva, a relative.
It's what? Sorry. Go.
It's a relative advantage maybe in this case, but still there is, for sure, there is an advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, again, on the website, the technicians have got data to prove that. We've got a very technical question here about the chamois integrated, or is it a foam covered chamois? I don't know if we need to go into that. I don't want to ignore these questions, but these are industrial collaborations, and I feel that this is a development. Would I be right in saying, Eva, that lots of things can be changed and moved, but you're not saying this is the absolute garment. You're saying that here is a way forward. And you could integrate this and you could integrate that. And there's another one from Robert saying that, you know, the wool bib, I don't even know what a bib is. I'm sorry, guys, but, you know, a wool bib in the cycling garment. So, you know, a bib that performs. All these things are about design, are they not? Are they not just things that, if that's what the consumer needs, the fiber, the yarn, the technology, and the design concept can all be made to include these things? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, no, I think, yes, I think you give a really good summary. I think it's by making every decision deliberately. I mean, it's not just about, I don't know, taking a yarn off the shelf and say, oh, let's use it. It's about, you know, understanding and listening to that yarn, and that yarn has, you know, fibers with specific properties, and you know, the merino wool, obviously the characteristics, you know, how do we utilize them in the best way? The same counts for the machinery as well. And obviously very important, the consumer research that we do before we start, to really ensure that, you know, the functions, the knit structures we select, the graphics we choose, they have a benefit. I saw some questions as well. So yes, we also absolutely in this research process spent a lot of time on physical testing, lab testing. We do wear testing. We have more wear testing also with the cycling that we have in mind. So I think we're not saying that we have covered everything. that's, I think, absolutely not the idea here. It's the idea to open a conversation and to learn from each other and to get feedback and to grow with each other further. So I think that's the whole approach that we have here. I think by putting things out, we can create conversations, and by creating conversations, I think we create the learnings that are needed.
In a way, that feeds into a question from Marianne about price, because I know that everybody says, oh, it's so expensive. Da, 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 da. Yeah, but it is about conversations. It is about talking to your clients, as you just said, Stefan, and saying, why do you need that component? What, it's better to have one rather than 3 pieces. And we've got to re-educate brands, because the brands are not going to survive on the buy one, get one free principle, because we're all saturated. COVID pandemic has made us realize we don't need everything that we've been living with. It's a different approach to living. And gradually, I'm an optimist, I'm gradually confident that people will get through the conversations that you, for instance, are both having directly with brands, that it will get to them, that here's the benefits, but you have to have the conversation with the consumer. It's no use just saying the price is that. You have to say why. Why are you paying for it? And people will read, I believe. I think people will read now why they should buy, because it happens in other areas. So why not in this? Would you agree that that's a way to help people understand why they need to pay more? Stefan, perhaps you can come back on that one.
Yes, I mean, price of we understand it has to be competitive, and we are competing with other fibers when we talk about wool. Yeah? But in the end, I think we always have to bring to the mind of the consumer, or make them aware that we talk about a living animal, yeah, that is producing the fiber for us. And of course, this is more expensive than when you talk about a man-made fiber where you can just switch on and off a machine. Yeah? And it's a valuable, high-quality product, and I think we will never compete with the cheapest of the cheapest. Yeah? This can also not be the goal. Yeah? This is not what we want. We don't want to squeeze the last penny out of the farmer. When we talk about cooperation here in our context with the designer people or with the knitters, with the brands, then of course let's include everybody from the beginning, and that's the sheep and the farmer, and they have to be included here as well and thought of as well. And this will only work if we educate our consumers, that we tell them the story, how great wool is and what the whole supply chain looks like, and that we create also this awareness and traceability and shed light to this whole thing. And then people will, I think also, there is a market for people who say, okay, I understand what it is, and I understand that this is not, as you say, the multi-pack that is somewhere in a box, yeah, very anonymous and with no soul, with no heart and nothing. It's something different. It's a high quality product with a lot of emotions, with a lot of people involved worldwide. And if we can then still make it sustainable with, let's say, short supply chains, that we don't waste time, that we don't waste energy and transportation and things like this, then we are smart, and then we will be competitive, and then we will have the right product that looks nice, that has the right benefits, but that can also tell the right story and be sustainable. So
because one of Marianne brought up this word of traceability. Is that something that is increasingly important in both your worlds? It probably is more applicable to you, Stefan. Traceability of yarn source, or fiber source rather. You're involved with that in some way.
Yes. That's
good.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Simple answer: yes, it is important, and we have to be smart to make things traceable and visible. Absolutely.
Now, I've just lost a question. I don't know how I managed to do that, but it was about some wool socks. And basically, is the stretch the reason they shrink in the wash? No, the shrinking in the wash is due to perhaps the way in which you wash them, or maybe they weren't machine washable wool. Wool has scales on the outside, and when you rub the scales together in unfortunate washing, then they go felted. That's an asset properly used, or an issue, depending on what you do with it. But wool can be machine washable if it's treated appropriately, if it's machine washable wool. And as a consequence, you know, that's the answer to that one. We've got, I think we've answered more or less all of the questions, guys. And I realize that we're out of time. I'm so sorry that we can't, you know, carry on forever. And there's been a lot of requests for, would they want to see the garments? Woolmark.com, please just go and have a look. We want to see fabrics. We've found that it doesn't really work if you do this and say, you know, here's the fabric. It's not ideal. In this perfect world, you'd all have samples. Anyway, we're doing our best. Have a look online. Let me now do several things to say thank you to the people that joined. Let me share my screen and therefore give you the contact information of our delightful participants. I thank both you, Stefan and Eva, and thank you particularly to the participants and such an active audience. It's been marvelous. Louise, I don't know whether you have anything you would like to add to this particularly?
Hi, really interesting discussion, everyone. No, I'd just like to say thank you everyone for participating and asking questions and keeping a really interesting conversation going. I'm going to just post in the chat now the websites for all of the links that Sheila Mary has just shared there, and you will be able to access them.
Anything we didn't answer, trade-extension@wool.com, and you know, there's quite a lot of technical information that you're requiring. You should be able to find that on these websites. The woolmark.com learning website is very comprehensive. It's got lots and lots of documents, you know, historic documents and technical information that's worth. And I would encourage any of you to go onto the Woolmark Learning Centre and have a look at the courses. I think they're very good. One guy was asking about clothing, which he'd knitted wool for cycling on Shima Saiki machines, but basically he was making knitwear, and I think you've got, it was the wrong count, not the wrong count, it was probably far too heavy. This is a different ball game. The Santoni circular situation that Eva and Sudvala have been working on is a whole different ball game from off say perhaps 12 gauge knitwear machinery. So I think that's a big differentiation, that this is a really new departure, and I hope that that has been evident for most people. Anyway, from my perspective, thank you all.
And take care. Thank you.